The Eastwood Police Department had seen many faces walk through its doors, some curious, some combative, some afraid. But on that humid Thursday, the woman who entered carried herself like she owned the ground she walked on. No badge, no fanfare, just grace, power, and a calm that unsettled men like Officer Brian Cutler. He spotted her as she passed the front desk, a tailored navy suit, clean lines, quiet confidence. To him, she looked out of place. To others, she looked like change. "Ma'am," he barked, loud enough to own the room. "This area is restricted. If you've got a complaint, sit down like everyone else." She didn't blink. She didn't slow down. "I'm not here to file a complaint," she said, eyes steady, voice composed. "Oh," he smirked. "Then what?" "Ride along. Orientation. Lost keys." Her answer silenced every whisper in the room. "I'm here to start my first day as Chief of Police." The folder in her hand held the truth. Her name, Denise Traylor. Her role, top command. And the smirk on Cutler's face twisted into something meaner, something uglier. "They let someone like you run this place," he said with venom coated in fake politeness. She didn't flinch. "You may want to reconsider how you speak to me. Your badge number's already on my desk." Cutler's pride shattered in a moment of rage. He stepped in close and spit in her face. Gasps erupted. Pens dropped. No one moved. Denise didn't react like they expected. No shouting. No retaliation. Just quiet, precise power. "You just spit on the highest-ranking officer in this building," she said clearly. "And the city will hear about it." And they did. By the time Deputy Chief Lawson entered the room, it was over. Lawson, a steady man who knew the weight of silence, walked in just in time to witness the stillness that only comes after a storm. "Hand over your badge and gun," he told Cutler. No threats, no drama, just consequences. Cutler stood frozen, disbelief burning in his face. "You're gonna regret this?" he muttered as he left. But he was wrong. The city watched the footage with disbelief. A black woman, calm and composed, assaulted in uniform, and she didn't even raise her voice. By nightfall, the crowd had formed outside. No slogans, no speeches, just presence. Denise didn't rise to anger. She rose to purpose. The woman who walked into Eastwood PD that morning didn't come to be liked. She came to lead. The lobby of Eastwood's police department had seen its share of rage, fear, desperation, but on that thick, hot morning, a different kind of energy stepped through its doors. It wasn't loud, it wasn't angry. It was steady, unshakable, unmistakable. A black woman walked in, every step calm, yet commanding. No badge flashing, no entourage. Just quiet certainty, wrapped in a fitted navy blue suit that seemed to slice through the air. Officer Brian Cutler looked up from his desk. In his eyes, she didn't belong. Not here. Not walking with that kind of authority. He rose from his chair, puffing his chest. "Ma'am," he called, voice sharp and dismissive. "If you're here to file something, have a seat like everyone else." She barely glanced at him. "I'm not here to file anything." "Oh really?" he said, leaning on sarcasm. "You looking for someone? Lost your purse. Maybe you're here for one of those department tours." She stopped, turned, looked him in the eye. "No, I'm here to begin my first shift as your new chief." Silence. Like someone had hit pause on the room. Her name tag read, Denise Traylor. Her credentials sat in a folder, crisp and irrefutable. But Cutler's face twisted into something cruel. His eyes scanned her up and down, dismissing her before she even started. He sneered, voice dripping with prejudice hidden behind a smile. "They gave you the whole damn department." She didn't blink. "You might want to watch your tone. I already know your badge number. It's sitting on my desk." The truth hit him hard. His pride cracked. And then, without warning, he stepped forward and spit, right in her face. The room froze. Gasps shot through the air. A pen rolled off a desk and echoed like thunder. But Denise didn't flinch. She calmly reached into her bag and pulled out a handkerchief, wiped her face, folded it, and looked him in the eye. "You just assaulted your commanding officer," she said, voice still calm, almost gentle. "And now the whole city is going to know who you really are." By the time Deputy Chief Lawson entered, the storm had passed but the damage had been done. He looked at Denise, then at Cutler, then simply said, "Badge and weapon." Now, no anger, no raised voice, just finality. Cutler's face turned pale. He sputtered, "You'll regret this." But no one replied. Later that evening, the footage hit every screen in the city. A poised black woman, spat on in uniform, and she never once raised her voice. Her silence echoed louder than 1,000 sirens. By nightfall, they came not with chants or rage, but in numbers. Quiet solidarity. Standing for her, Denise didn't fight to be accepted. She walked in to lead. She didn't need to prove herself. Her presence did it for her. The profile photo was subtle at first, just a thin blue line draped across a black backdrop. The bio read like a quiet defiance. For the real men and women of Eastwood PD, harmless, maybe. At first it was just old photos, inside jokes, faded, squad snapshots, memories of another time. But by nightfall, the tone had shifted. A new photo went up, showing Cutler in full dress uniform, stoic and proud. The caption beneath was sharp, decorated veteran, pushed out by politics. This isn't justice, it's revenge. The post exploded hundreds of likes within hours. Comments poured in. Cutler was always fair. The media's lying. The chief's ruining everything. ... He made one mistake doesn't mean he's a racist. That night, Denise Traylor found a letter slipped under her door typed unsigned. Not a trace of handwriting. We know what you're trying to do, but this isn't your fight. You don't belong here. She read it twice, folded it cleanly, and slid it into a manila folder labeled threats. Moments later, Lawson entered, printouts in hand. You'll want to see this, he said quietly. He laid down screenshots of a group chat between active officers, now leaked to a local reporter. One message read, "She's got the whole city fooled, but we know what she is. Another won't last 6 months. Keep smiling for the cameras. Chief." And then the final blow? She should be lucky Cutler didn't go further. Traylor read each line without a twitch. "They're afraid," she finally said. "This isn't strength, it's fear, pretending to be loyalty." Lawson wasn't convinced. "It's organized now," he replied. "They're building a narrative, trying to paint you as unstable, divisive, unfit." Denise gave a hollow smile. "I've been called worse." But even as she said it, something heavy crept behind her eyes. Not from the work, but from the resistance designed to make the work impossible. Later that afternoon, the union staged their own press conference. Officer Clint Renner, retired but still tangled in department politics, took the podium. "We respect the chain of command," he began, "but leadership is a two-way street. Morale is crumbling. Officers feel targeted, not guided. Chief, Traylor's policies haven't reformed, they've instilled fear." A reporter asked about Cutler's behavior. Renner treaded carefully. "We don't support what happened, but it doesn't define him as a man or officer." When asked if they wanted Cutler reinstated, he said, "We're reviewing all options." From her office, Denise watched it all unfold, arms crossed, eyes steeled. Her phone buzzed endless. From across the country, summoned support, others warning of the storm she'd stirred. Then Officer Patel entered with a tip. An old IA file tied to Cutler had never been closed. A civilian claimed Cutler had threatened him at gunpoint 3 years ago. Witness statements were gone. "Someone buried this," Patel said. Denise didn't flinch. "Reopen it. Every piece, every detail." "What about the leak?" "Let it leak. If they want to fight, they'll have to fight in the light." But what Denise didn't know was that someone inside the precinct had already reached out to a lawyer, someone with more than screenshots, someone who lived Eastwood's darkest corners. The next morning, an email hit her inbox. Subject: "We've met before. I want to talk." Attached was a 5-page affidavit, signed by a man named Terrence Knowles. At first, the name didn't spark anything, but by the second paragraph, she remembered Terrence had been arrested 7 years ago during a so-called routine traffic stop. The original report painted him as aggressive, non-compliant, and in possession of illegal ammo. He served a year, but the affidavit revealed another truth. "Terrence," said Cutler, and his partner pulled him over after a birthday dinner for his mother. No weapon, no threat, just a cracked taillight. Cutler ordered him out, aimed a gun at his head, and said, "This road's seen its fair share of buried problems." Terrence filed a complaint after his release. It vanished. Denise picked up her phone. "Lawson, I want everything. Dashcam, bodycam, complaint logs. Give me an hour," he said. By noon, it was in her hands. The dashcam had been mysteriously corrupted. No investigator was ever assigned. Cutler's partner, Troy Bixler, had retired 2 months ago. "Get him in for a voluntary interview," she ordered. "If he refuses, subpoena him." An hour later, Bixler sat across from her. Mid-50s, worn down, haunted. "You know why you're here?" she said. He nodded. "I'm not out to ruin lives," she continued, "but I won't shield the truth. Did Cutler threaten Terrence Knowles?" Bixler looked away. Then quietly, "Yes." Silence fell. "He always pushed limits," Bixler said. "But that night, ... he crossed it. Gun to the kid's head. Told him to blink wrong, and he'd be digging his own grave." "And you didn't report it?" "I was scared," he admitted, voice cracking. "You spoke up back then. You didn't just lose your badge. You lost everything." He had friends. "High up, they buried it. Just like always." Denise leaned forward. "Do you have proof?" Bixler nodded and pulled a flash drive from his pocket. "I kept a backup, couldn't live with it." The footage was grainy, no sound, but it showed exactly what he said. Cutler yanking Terrence out, slamming him to his knees. No resistance, no reason. At 4 p.m., Denise faced the press. No podium theatrics this time. Just one microphone and a paper. "We are reopening multiple misconduct cases involving former Officer Cutler," she declared. "New evidence shows a pattern that was previously ignored, that ends now." She didn't name names, but the message was clear. Silence was no longer policy. That evening, Terrence called her. "Thank you," he said. "I thought I'd carry that weight forever." "You don't have to," Denise answered. "Not anymore." But inside the department, resistance stirred. 2 officers called in sick. 1 detective filed for leave. Pressure mounted, but Denise had never seen her mission so clearly. Then came the final blow. The city council announced a special hearing. Officially, it was a department oversight session. In reality, it was theater, political smoke and fire. A chance for them to shield themselves, or burn her publicly. She arrived early that Monday, a deep green blazer, a single notepad. Lawson walked beside her in silence. Outside, over 200 people stood, some cheering, others waving signs calling her a disgrace. Inside, the chamber buzzed. On the panel, Councilwoman Greta Long, one of her few allies, and Councilman Brad Holcomb, who never hid his contempt for what he called social justice hires. Denise sat calmly at the witness table. Holcomb leaned in first. "Chief Trailer," he said, masking disdain with a polite grin. "Since your appointment, we've seen resignations, unrest, and open disciplinary action. Do you believe you are the source of instability in Eastwood PD?" She didn't flinch. "If by instability you mean dismantling a culture that protects abusers, then yes. That was always the point." Gasps echoed. Holcomb clenched his jaw. He came again. "Do you think it wise to open long-closed cases?" "They were closed legally," she replied. "Not morally." Councilwoman Long chimed in. "Chief, what did you find in your review?" Denise's voice was steady. "At least 5 cases involving excessive force and racism were mishandled. Some reports erased. One video tampered with, and that was only the beginning. Asterisk. The Eastwood Police Department had seen its share of chaos, but nothing shook the halls like the day Chief Denise Traylor walked in. No press, no security. Just a woman in a navy suit with eyes that had seen battles and refused to blink. Officer Brian Cutler saw her first, and to him, she didn't belong. Too calm, too sure. Two different areas off limits, he barked. She didn't stop. "I'm not lost," she replied. "I'm your new chief." The silence was sharp enough to cut steel. Cutler's pride couldn't take it. Words turned venomous. And in a moment of raw hate, he spat in her face. She didn't flinch. "You just spit on the highest-ranking officer in this building," she said. And the building heard. By evening, Officer Cutler was walking out. Badge and gun surrendered. But that was only the beginning. At a press conference days later, Denise didn't hint at corruption. She named it, and then someone stepped forward, a former officer named Elijah. Nervous, but ready. "I was pushed out," he said, "for speaking up, but I saved everything." His folder was a time capsule. Jokes scribbled on locker room walls, missing reports, buried complaints. Denise and Deputy Lawson read every word. "This wasn't a bad moment," Lawson said. "It was a system," Denise nodded. "We can't clean what we won't expose." The city lit up. Support, backlash, debate on radio waves and classroom chalkboards. Some praised her. Others protested, but she stood firm. When Cutler returned, lawyered up and smug, the courtroom became a war of truth and legacy. His side claimed slander. She stood for principle. "I didn't file charges. I didn't leak anything. But no badge protects someone from accountability," she told the judge. And then Elijah spoke again, stronger this time. "They humiliated people. I spoke up and they erased me. That board, it was covered in hate, and no one cared. This wasn't one story. It was decades." And Denise had cracked it open. The court referred Cutler's case to the state. His smirk vanished. But Denise wasn't done. 1 week later, she proposed something the department had never done, a code of conduct vote. Sign it or step down. 90-1 stayed. 19 left. She didn't chase anyone. Some doors are better closed. She spent the next weeks walking the halls, not with orders but questions. "What do you need? What haven't we heard?" She listened. They spoke. One rookie officer said, "We want to do it right. We just didn't know what right looked like." Now they did. Outside. Change echoed. An apology to a wrongly searched business owner. A mother returned to City Hall. A high school invited her to speak. "Leadership isn't about being liked," Denise told them. "It's about truth, especially when it's hard." Not everyone applauded, but they noticed. One day, a package arrived on her desk. No name inside. A photo of her father and uncle in uniform. From 1976, a note beside it. They would have been proud. "Keep going." And she did. Her first memo as chief read. "This badge means nothing if we're afraid of truth. From now on, we face it together. Because real leadership doesn't need noise. It just needs courage."